What's up, everybody? Welcome to Politics on the Rocks, episode 11. We've made it past 10.
We made it.
Who would have thought, right?
Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? That was Black River Killer by Blitzen Trapper. It's a good song. I like them. They have a lot of good music. I think you introduced me to them, Cameron.
I don't know. They're good, though. I like them. Yeah, it's good stuff.
As always... You good there? Good. As always, like, follow, share, help promote the podcast, get us out there, and we thank you if you do. And if not, you're dead to us. Stop listening. Not going to keep giving you these awesome, amazing podcasts for free, you mother. So, as always, I'm your host. We have Bookie.
Hello.
And Cameron.
Hey. And we're missing somebody.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to do our
special guest. We got a special guest.
Yeah.
Oh, of course we have a special guest. We always have a special guest.
Always.
So, a special guest is Whistle Pig Straight Rye Whiskey, and it's a 10-year bottle. What do we think?
I really like this. This is like...
Yeah. Hey, first of all, let's cheers.
Yeah.
Episode 11?
Yeah, cheers. We didn't do that at dinner.
Yeah, I know. What the heck?
If you couldn't tell by now, we are missing our favorite homeless guy. He got caught up in some stuff, and we have our lawyers looking into it. We're not sure if there's much they can do because he's not technically, in our policy because he's homeless. But I guess he's tied up at some detention facility for I don't know all the details. We actually can't talk too much about it, but so yeah, we're a little shorthanded tonight, but
we just hope that we can get him back.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Right. And
yeah.
I think he, despite being homeless, he brings a lot of knowledge to the podcast. So
Chris is without a doubt the smartest homeless guy that anybody's ever met.
Undoubtedly, yes. I couldn't agree more with that. I didn't mention the topics yet, right?
No, but we have the special guest, right? And then are we shouting out anybody else?
Oh, yeah. So Whistle Pig Whiskey, he's actually somewhat of a family friend, the owner, and he didn't give the podcast the bottle. I can't say he supports the podcast because he doesn't even know we exist, but shout out to Raj Bhakta for giving my family this bottle, not the podcast, so he's not affiliated with us.
He's not affiliated, but he knows we are.
Yeah, but nonetheless,
we see you,
thank
Raj.
you,
we
Raj,
see you.
thank you, you're the man. And I also want to shout out my good buddy Chris Saplee. He will be our official sponsor for next week, maybe this week. I don't know. We haven't decided. We're not drunk yet, so we'll decide at the end of the episode.
Yeah, he's donating to our alcoholism, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. Shout out, Chris. We love you, boy.
So I also want to do a little shout out. Brandon at Mock Wine and Spirits, and that's the Publix and like Gifford, so it's 5230 US 1.
God knows his stuff.
Yeah, super cool guy, man. I went in there. Most of you probably already know we're relatively new to the bourbon drinking and stuff like that. And the guy just gave me a total education. Super cool guy. I mean, like, just really, really cool. If you guys are interested in, tasting whiskeys and trying different things, Brandon is an awesome guy. Super cool. Just an awesome business guy. I don't know. There's something to be said about that. You go in a small business and like someone like takes care of you and like is passionate about like what they do. Like, it's awesome. It's an awesome experience. Like a really cool exchange of like someone like being like patient and like willing to like give you an education on something and like walk you through something instead of just like this sort of like business where you see
just come and get your shit and leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean recently I've been having really cool experiences with like small businesses and stuff and people who like really care and go out of your way, and it's just an awesome thing. I love that.
Yeah, I think
I love that.
I think we're in one of those cool areas where I would think I wouldn't not to say I would think, but I'm certain that small businesses make up a good portion of our local economy.
Yeah.
Right? That's pretty much like all we are. I mean, we have like some chain restaurants, but
yeah,
for the most part, people tend to shop at the family owned kind of deal. So, but I think this pandemic and a lot of the lockdown and being forced to not be able to work has across the country made small business owners a little more appreciative. Again, I don't think that's the case here. I think our small businesses have always been grateful for our business, but I think for most of the country, people that maybe didn't realize it before are extra grateful. So I think that's a cool thing. And like you were saying, that's excuse me, that's the beauty of like small businesses,
Yeah,
having
for sure.
that personal experience.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And so this is the guy owns a liquor store near the Publix on
Gifford. Wait, yeah.
US 1 in Indian River Boulevard.
Was that
57th?
Third?
53rd? 53rd, yeah.
Yeah,
53rd and US
yeah.
1,
Yeah.
the new Publix there, yeah.
Yeah. Super cool guy. I think he's there Wednesdays and maybe Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
him himself's there, but the store's open the whole time.
Yeah, store's always
Okay.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's there, so it's definitely a cool guy. The owner, worth like going in and checking him out.
Excellent selection of whiskey.
Yeah.
Bourbons,
cool
rye,
guy.
he's got all kinds of stuff in there.
Super cool.
And
man.
he's like super passionate and like really takes his time with you in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or mostly in the front.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
nice.
Okay. Now, next time I'm gonna go in there, he's gonna be like,
Yo, what the fuck? Yeah, hey, if you go in, mention you know us. He
Yeah.
probably won't, give you anything for free, but
and he probably won't remember me, but
yeah,
But just say, hey, heard from you guys, and
yeah,
if you take your pants off, don't tell them you're from us.
yeah, or do whatever. We don't really care. Yeah, so kind of got a little off tracks, but yeah, we're gonna. This is kind of be a more of a laxed episode, I think. Who am I kidding? We're gonna get all hammered and start saying some crazy shit, but today we're going to talk about DeSantis striking down state level mask mandates. Well, I guess they're federal. He's striking down all mask mandates. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're also going to talk about the Eviction Moratorium. And if you don't know what that is, we'll explain it. So, how was everyone's weekend? You guys do anything fun?
No, I didn't.
How was your trip, man?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah. How was your trip? Good? You have a fun time?
Yeah, it was good. Went out to North Georgia for a couple days. Enjoyable.
How was that? Like, I haven't left the state since a little over a year and
Yeah,
like
me
4
neither.
months ago. I went, to Jersey quite a while ago, but
sorry to hear that.
yeah, me too. Nah, we went to Aunt Susie's house, so she,
Nah,
we
yeah.
didn't really leave the house. Her house is pretty sick up there, but yeah, so, I don't, I know how it has been, but I also, don't know how it's been because I haven't been out of the state in so long. What was it like in Georgia? And you noticed anything that kind of stood out as different from kind of what Florida's been doing?
No, I don't think so. Seems like Georgia's pretty in line. I think anytime you go to a big city, you can see it probably like in Orlando, Miami too. If there's no like overreaching state government telling you can't do something, they're probably gonna be a little more strict on like their masks. But because we stopped in Charleston on the way up in South Carolina, and the last time we were there was in December of last year, and it was pretty much like mask on anywhere you went. The classic, like, you went to a restaurant, you have to have your mask on. Got to your table though, you could take it off, cough over the woman next to you, had to take a shit, got to put your mask back on. But this time it wasn't as bad in South Carolina, which was nice. And then, especially when you get in the mountains in Georgia, those people, I don't think they fucking know what COVID is.
COVID, what's that?
Yeah, they're just living life up there,
Corona, I'll take 2.
stress free, just going down the lazy rivers.
As it should be.
Right?
Hey.
A reject modernity, embrace tradition. I'm going to get that tattooed on me somewhere. I haven't decided yet.
Put it in
Yeah.
the forehead.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I was thinking so.
How was work in Florida for the past week?
Work's been good. Just, building aircraft and designing shit. And
Yeah, it's hot.
Been all right.
It's hot
Yeah,
for me. I work
dude.
outside, so it's toasted.
this last week
Yeah,
has been brutal.
it's hot.
Brutal.
I saw that when I was up there. I saw like the floor. It was like supposed to be like heat index is like 107.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. It's fucking hot as hell.
I'm getting cooked.
I'm
bro.
saying that it's like 69 in the morning up in the mountains.
Oh, nice.
It was
bro.
freaking delicious up there.
Dude, how are your sinuses up there? Because anytime I get up in the mountains, man, my entire head clears up. Like, like insane.
Yeah, this time it got a little stuffy. I don't know what that was about, but typically it's fine.
Yeah,
Like I don't really have sinus issues.
that fresh
regardless.
mountain air, man. Nothing
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't
I feel the same when I go offshore too.
really saltwater.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
clean.
I love the saltwater.
Yeah,
But I was in Chattanooga for a day, and that was hot. I think that was like
Yeah.
105 degrees. Fucking.
I think
big-
we had a couple days where it felt like, but you
Yeah,
know, over 100. But I don't think we hit actually. Over
Yeah, that
100.
place was actually over. It was
Yeah.
like a concrete oven in that town.
Yeah, man, it's been warm. That's no doubt about that.
Chattanooga.
What about go to any restaurants or anything like that?
Yeah, they got a lot of barbecue, so I had a lot of meat and potatoes and beans.
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like anybody can probably tell from their town and traveling out anywhere. I think almost everywhere we went in South Carolina, Georgia, even in Chattanooga, seemed to be pretty well employed up. But almost every place had, now hiring,
Short staffed.
short-staffed, longer waits because they don't have people working.
That's bizarre, man.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's not just the service industry. You see it like on every place.
Yeah.
Like lumber yards.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
get a job doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
literally fucking get 5 jobs right now if you wanted to. I feel like
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's eased up for the most part here. Like I can't really remember the last time I went somewhere and they were kind of short staffed or.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's. I think there's a lot of people short staffed, but they're like able to still pull it together,
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think there's still like a short, shortness of
Yeah,
staff.
a little staff shortage.
Yeah, but I think they're managing. I don't know, but
Yeah.
no, there's definitely no jobs available. So I hope they just keep giving us stimulus and stuff like that. So.
yeah.
Yeah. Until our dollar is worth absolutely nothing.
Until that savings account you have is worth the fucking bread in the store.
Yeah. That you're waiting in line for.
Yeah, as Bernie Sanders stands over you, just like happy as a fucking
Yeah.
frog with a stick up his ass.
Is that what makes frogs happy?
In my
Gay frogs, they're turning the frogs gay.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. When's the last time you saw a frog with a stick in his ass? Okay.
If I did, I'd be something.
I don't think you'd be lucid.
And if
Yeah,
I
under the
was,
influence
I'd be
of something.
scared.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps it's time.
Time to get into it.
Time.
Let's get into it.
Let's hop into it.
All right, so I guess first we'll talk about the Florida mask mandates, right?
Yeah,
So
why not?
the big thing was just mainly with our COVID spike going on currently, a lot of new cases. The state schools,
The Ligma variant.
yeah, the Ligma variant was just running havoc over here in Florida. I think I literally saw an old man beat the shit out of a toddler in front of Publix today
For not wearing a mask?
for not wearing a mask.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bro, you give the people any reason to treat other people like second-class citizens, it's... I mean, like...
They're demons.
Yeah, dude. So I get shit all the time for drawing this, Nazi comparison, but it's like, man, you can't look at what's going on today and still ask yourself, how did they get away with doing what they did?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the key is really demonize people.
Yeah.
Because if you demonize people and you dehumanize them, then it's really easy to say these people are bad. We need to get rid of
Well,
them.
that and on top of that, convince one group of people that the other group is trying to kill them. For instance, not getting vaccinated,
True.
not wearing a mask.
Right. Right.
You're putting Granny in danger. You're whatever.
Yeah.
I don't watch the actual news, so I don't know what the new running catchphrases are. It seems like there's always new ones, but
We're definitely going to get into that because turns out that's not necessarily true.
yeah. I could talk about some of them facts we were kind of spitballing.
We'll do that later, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was mainly the fact that, with the spike now, the state-run schools were kind of wanting to put the mask mandates back so kids had to wear masks in schools again. And Desantis went ahead and made, I think it was an executive order saying that schools can't mandate people in the schools to wear masks. So that's what he did.
Broward County defied it. You seen that?
Yeah, they tried to. I mean,
What happened?
I don't know.
Did something happen? The last I seen, they're full force. They're defying.
Yeah, I think what happened is he came out and said any school, county that does it, he's just going to not fund them.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good way to get them to fall in line.
Yeah,
No, they will fall in line.
And I think a couple of counties did, which makes sense. But he did mention when he wrote that he's not saying kids can't wear masks at schools. He's just saying it's up to the parents
Right.
to dictate if they want their kids wearing masks in schools.
And yeah, and like, what a good point.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's not saying that you can't wear a mask. It's just saying that you can't be obligated to wear
you're
a
not
mask.
forcing them.
Well,
Exactly.
the argument from the left is that, well, now you're leaving it up to parents, so, and obviously every Republican loves Trump and is retarded, according to the left. So they're using that as an argument, like, now kids are kind of like their health is being left in the hands of, their stupid Republican parents.
Right.
Which, I mean, at the end of the day, right, it's your child, like, up until they're old enough to make their own medical decisions, like,
Yeah.
every single one of their medical decisions is up to the parent already anyway. So
Right.
I don't know why that's a new argument, If
Right.
you're going to argue that, then you can also argue, like, oh, kids can't, get fucking measles vaccine or, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of comparison you want to draw. But, if you're going to be against parents having the right to make that decision for them, then you'll kind of also have to be against
Right.
parents having the right to say, give it like any medical decision for their kids.
And so, like, if I'm not mistaken, like, at this point in time, if you're like a kid in elementary school, you can get a vaccine, right?
I think it's 12 and up.
Okay, so they're already younger. Because I know,
Unless you're in
like,
Canada.
the teacher union, like, was making a big stink about that. It's like, oh, these kids, some of these kids can't get vaccines, so they gotta have this and gotta have that, And there's, obviously something to be said about teacher unions and things like that. But,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Dissolve them.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Burn
But
them.
they seem like they don't want to have kids go back to school or teachers to work. I don't
Yeah, I
really sure
just
what
think
they're-
they don't want to work.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it sounds like.
Yeah, keep
But,
the state money running in.
Yeah.
right.
But I think it's a very, like, for me, it's an interesting thing to look at right now because you see what Desantis is doing, and in one sense I can agree, and like I'm glad he's doing this because I think it should be up to the parent and the individual to make the choices. But then you can see, like, from the other side where, like, if this wasn't DeSantis, it could be totally fucked. Like, because what happened, like, all right, we're not going to follow DeSantis. We're a local municipality, like, school district, like Broward did, I think, like Nick said. And then DeSantis comes and says, as the big state, well, fuck you, we're not going to give you money.
Yeah, right.
Well,
You're saying if the turntables have turned.
Yeah. And the turntables have turned.
Right.
Yeah.
But like it's so one thing it's good, but also at the same time it like opens up and it should show everybody why this is a flawed system.
Yeah.
Because one person has all this power.
Right. Yeah, and that goes back to a point that's kind of continually has gotten brought up throughout the episodes. I think it was episode 3 or 4 where we talked about critical race theory and just public school in general. This is again what you get when you buy into this system of governance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can say buy in, which a lot of people do.
Well,
And you're forced.
right? Forced
Like,
in. That's
it's-
more or less
we're
what I
slaves.
meant. Yeah.
To this, even if you don't have a kid.
Yeah. Right.
I saw somebody posted, some libertarian guy or whatever, but posted like if you were to get back all the money you pay into like education, like public education, that you could pay a teacher like $100,000 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like ridiculous, like a private school.
I think I saw that
Yeah.
or something similar, and it was something where like maybe like they did the math, and like obviously it's like it's broken down like an average to everybody, so it's like more people pay into it more obviously, but
Right.
if you split it up evenly, it's like each parent or each child roughly like was it like $5,000 a year to go to school or something like that. It might be a little bit more,
Right.
And I think what they were stating is, well, if you have a teacher who has 10 students or 20 students and she got those $5,000,
Yeah.
that's more than she makes now.
Exactly.
The math might be off a little bit.
No, that was right.
I mean, the math might be a little
Yeah.
more than 5,000.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, it just came out to be like, you could actually pay people more by giving them freedom to choose the teachers. And if it was smaller, because everybody's like, oh, schools are so big, classrooms are so large now.
So more.
Yeah. More.
yeah.
Why use more word, less word work?
Yeah, less.
No, but
back to Chris.
but also like when you do that, like if you were to do the thing you just suggested, or somebody just suggested and we copyrighted it, and
Yeah.
stole it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Or ma'am.
no, but if you were to do that, I mean, there
Or
would
they.
be a huge influx of new teachers, and right now the issue is you don't have teachers because they don't make any money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They also don't work all year. I mean, I'm not biased, but I mean, if you have a 3 month vacation, there's something to be said about not getting
Right.
paid as much as.
Yeah, well, it's anything, right? It's
Hey,
a
mailman.
government job. The inefficiencies of money trickling down through government is known to be abysmal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be understandable where if it's, not a government job. And I think
A majority of the funding goes to administrative costs. Like what the
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
superintendent, what the fuck is a superintendent do?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you paid a teacher good money, they could do all that stuff themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be here at this time in this building, this person. You know what I'm saying? Like, how complicated is it?
And it's funny because like
Say it.
one of the biggest arguments from the left is like, and I know you guys have seen this meme where it's like a picture of a cop or whatever, and he's all decked out in tactical gear. He's got the plate carrier on with like tactical pants and the kitted out M4 and the helmet with the night vision on top. And
Yeah, I
it's
dress up like that sometimes.
yeah,
Some nights.
Yeah, you say that as a joke, but me and Chris actually do that sometimes. But it'll have that picture, and then it'll say our police officers look like this, so our teachers can look like this, and it's like a picture of like a teacher buying school supplies with their own money, and it's like, fuck, where was I going with this? I had a really good point.
It's like spending.
Yeah, I guess that was the point, right? It's just like the argument isn't cops versus teachers. It's
Right.
how screwed our budget as a country is, and how
Yeah.
all this money goes, like there's plenty of money that goes into education.
Right.
I don't know the actual numbers, but I know for a fact that
Let's just say 12 trillion a year. I think that's about right.
I don't know if it's that much, but
But supposedly it's not enough. But go ahead.
yeah, but no, that's what I'm getting at. Is it's like and the same thing with like the whole California homeless problem. Like, what was the number we looked up in the last? I don't know.
Oh yeah. that
Hundreds of billions of
Yeah,
dollars, right?
yeah.
That go directly to fighting homelessness in these, in California specifically. But it's the same thing with teaching. So much money goes to that, but it's just all burnt up in
Yeah.
frivolous, administrative spending,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
like,
just ridiculous. You
Like
look
I
at
think one of the things was like one of the like I don't know, administrators or
Yeah.
CEOs or whatever. I don't know what they call themselves in that position. But
Yeah.
it's like their salaries are like $100,000, $200,000.
yeah,
Fighting homeless
yeah.
and making sure that people remain homeless so they can continue to make that salary.
Exactly.
Nonsense, dude.
And it's the same exact thing with any government agency, and it's like the left is so blinded by their hatred for the other side that if they were to come out and say like not that we're spending more money in other places, but the money we do spend is not going where it needs to go.
yeah, right.
Well, I think even sometimes they agree to that. Obviously, when it comes to policing, they'll like say it like defund the police,
Right.
but they're just so blinded that they think, well, it just doesn't work there. But of course, if we let government have money in these places, they'll do it correctly.
That's
Right.
that's kind of what I was
Yeah,
trying to
it is
say
what you're
in
trying
a
to
way.
say.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's laughable. It's like
Yeah.
it's like why would I keep going to the same store that fucks up my hamburger order?
Exactly.
Right. That's why I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
Well,
Place
I
sucks.
mean, it's like they haven't got to the point where they like totally distrust the whole system. They're just like
they just distrust it in the places it's convenient to
Well,
distrust them in.
and
Under their ideals.
yeah, it's that, and it's like they oh man, I forgot my point there, but like I think what I was trying to say is that like they believe that it's like totally mismanaged. That if their guy was in place, that it would be managed better and then it would work better.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So like, so they still have this like level of trust, and they don't have enough like, foresight and to say like, oh, well, what if we just did it totally different? You know, like it's simply not working. So let's change it completely. You
But
know?
no, instead let's vote in the guy that's been in politics for 50 years.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know.
Right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But
Because he's got better ideas
Yeah.
and new ideas.
Brand new ideas. And he's not completely demented.
Yeah.
just a
Completely lucid and sane in his
just
right
a
mind.
meat puppet.
Yeah.
Dude.
He's not gonna do a second term.
I said
There's no way, right?
I said, and what? We're not even. Well, I guess we're 7-8 months into it now, or yeah. I said 2 years. 2 years max. He makes it,
yeah.
and I think that's being conservative. If I'm being honest. I just said 2 years is a little buffer.
So we got like what, a year and 4 months left on the clock?
President Harris.
No, dude, I don't think anybody wants that woman to be. I don't even think the left wants that woman to be president. Like the establishment.
So she has like one of the lowest.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
that article.
No
Recently.
one likes her.
No, they don't like
Yeah,
her, bro.
she's had like the lowest. What is that
What is
word
the-
they
what is the
use?
word?
Approval rating.
Approval, yeah.
Yeah, she's had like the
Approval.
lowest approval rating of any vice president in the last like 60 or 70
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not crazy. It's understandable.
I mean, you watch her and you're like, what the fuck is this thing?
yeah. See, and it's like shit like that I'm like, maybe there was election fraud. Maybe this election was stolen.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I'm necessarily convinced of still. You know, another thing that, you know, I know we're way off topic here, but another thing the Republicans love doing is like a lot of the same QAnon tactics. You know, they started doing all these election audits, and they were like, wait until you hear this bombshell evidence drop, blah, 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 and it's like, whatever happened to them?
Yeah.
They've been going on for like months now, right? In Nevada, still no bombshell evidence.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they have hope, you know?
Yeah. Well, I like that meme. It's like when a QAnon date comes and goes and nothing happens, and it's like a picture of a guy and he's like, it's all going exactly to plan.
This is what they wanted to do.
Well, it's like the guy that like says, "Oh, this is when the apocalypse is going to happen. This is when the world's going to end,"
Yeah.
and it's like, and then another guy does it in like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, stop, dude, just stop. You know?
Yeah. So what were we talking about?
No, so the mask mandate that DeSantis did. So like, again, from my point of view, I like agree with what he did in the sense of like, it should be up to the parent to be able to say, hey, my child's gonna wear a mask at school, or my child's not gonna wear a mask at school. But like I stated before, it's just funny that it shows the issue we have with government, where now if you don't like it and you go, like probably 60 or 80% of the kids do, you go to a public school. If you don't want to follow this, obviously he's letting you still wear your mask to school. But I'm just saying, if like you're fully outright against this, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
Because as soon as someone like Broward County, I think like Nick said, is like, hey, we're not going to follow you, DeSantis. We're going to be a...
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought I was going to think...
No. I wanted to save a little bit of this for Chris. I want to let him try it
Yeah.
because it's a rye. I know he likes rye, and it's
Yeah.
pretty good bourbon.
I mean, if he ever gets out of
whiskey.
where it's
Yeah,
from.
hopefully it gets out. But keep going.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, so it's just one of those things where now we see that, what do you do? Because as soon as you go against the government, they just stop funding you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from a it is interesting because I think from legislative stance, I think as like libertarian minded, anarchist minded, I think he went about it probably the best way he could have, right?
Probably.
Just to say like,
Yeah.
listen, we're not enforcing it, we're not recognizing any sort of federal or state level mask mandates. That's up to you. But then, to turn right around and kind of say, you can't do this, or.
Well,
But then
it's not
again,
that you can't. It's just like, if you don't want to be a part of this, the place you get your money from.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah. If you choose to recognize it, you get no funding.
Well, so I mean, Bookie makes a good point. Like, just to
Reinforce.
I got a burp. Just to reinforce your point or whatever, is that like we like the policy, think it's a good move. Obviously, we don't want it to be super authoritarian in the sense like, oh, you got to wear masks and things like that. It's a good move. It's good on his part, right? We like it. We like that idea. The only problem is we don't like the whole structure, the whole thing.
Correct.
which is
Yeah.
which is public schools, and
Right.
if the government gives you money, they can say this is what you're going to do. Otherwise, they're not going to give you money.
Right,
So,
which is, it highlights like
The
you said,
issue.
the problem with the
Yeah.
whole system in
Right.
general. It's like, oh, if you want to stay in business or you want to,
Right.
keep your jobs, you better do what we say.
I would
Regardless if we think think what they say is right or not, it
it feels weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's fucked up.
But, just to go back to what we're saying, this is what you get when, you buy into the system.
yeah.
It's when you dingle your dangle.
When you dingle,
It's when you dongle
Yeah.
your dingle.
And
Yeah.
I would
Dingle
even
dongle.
say, for a school or a school county that is like staunchly against this, like step up. Just don't do it. Don't get funding. Ask the parents for money.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Fucking do it. If that's not what you want to do. Like, if you're gonna whine about it, might as well again, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I'm just saying if you're gonna whine about it, might as well just like stand up and like get together and almost do like a private school. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's an idea, but
Right?
the only thing you hear from like the schools is like we don't have enough money.
Yeah.
So you're telling people that like in their minds don't have enough money to not like get any money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna happen.
But, I think-
it's a good point, but it's not gonna happen.
I think,
of course
yeah.
not.
I think this goes back to the, some of our, as anarchists and libertarians, some of our, main philosophies. It's like there's too much red tape and too many, centralized regulations. Like, what's to stop these teachers from, because I guarantee there's some, family within these schools that, has some free space or whatever to host a classroom. And, if the teacher really wanted to, they could, have like what I'm getting at is there's too much red tape that would stop these people from doing just that. It's not that there's not enough money for school supplies.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? Like, what do you need? Tell the kids to bring some pencils and, teach from a textbook. Like, not every single kid needs a textbook. Right? But it's not that. It's the fact that all the education you would be giving them, it's not like state approved. It's not,
Right.
it's not recognized. So
Yeah. So that's fucked.
yeah, it's just red tape that impedes
Yeah.
natural competition in the free market.
Yeah.
Preach.
Preach it.
Preach it.
Yeah, like real competition, like in schools.
Yeah.
Like elementary and middle schools.
Yeah.
Like, what do they? Yeah, I mean that's how you find out what's best.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And right now, it's not working. It's not good.
No.
No.
It's not good at all.
People
'Cause
aren't
there's no
pleased.
competition.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
competition at all. You can see a school over here doing this, a school in Stewart is doing this, and you're looking at them, you're like, why? What are they doing that's better? But right now, it's like, oh, this is what we do. We do FCAT or whatever it's called now.
Yeah, it's
you
the
know what I'm
same
saying?
exact standard.
Yeah, it's the same standard. Everything's got to be the same. It's got to be in
And
line.
everyone's doing just average and just
Yeah.
getting, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good thing we have that. So that's good.
Yeah. State-run indoctrination
So,
camps.
so my suggestion is make enough money where you can send your kids to public school. I mean, to private
Yeah.
school.
Or
not public
fucking
school.
homeschool.
Yeah, that too. That's also a good.
Then you have
suggestion.
direct influence of what they're, ingesting
Yeah.
into their minds.
Yeah. I mean, I think they even still have to follow guidelines and they have to take like state
Yeah,
tests
there is.
that like you have to meet a certain standard, but you still have a lot more than you would if you
Yeah, it's a lot more flexible.
sent them to Mrs. Gretchen's class to get yelled at for
Yeah, and I think
wanting to move around.
I think that was a one of those kind of good unintended consequence. Is that the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Good unintended consequences of the COVID virus. Is that a lot of people realized like, oh shit, I could actually homeschool my kids. Like,
True.
they were forced to, so they found a way to do it.
Right.
So now, I think it kind of opened people's minds to that a little bit. But yeah, I think, all this to say that there should be more or less centralized things and more free market things.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, even talking about this mask mandate thing, we didn't even get into the fact that like, do masks even work for kids? like, it's just crazy that like there's so many layers to this. Where it's,
I know.
does that even like make it a difference if the kid is wearing a mask or not?
Well,
Like-
so, just to kind of, and we just had a COVID episode, so I know a lot of this was already covered in that.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. I'm like, kind of have to apologize because it's COVID again and everything's COVID, but it's
COVID
like
back to
it's
back episode.
literally what's happening.
Yeah.
Like this is what's happening around us. So
Yeah.
it's like it kind of has to cover it.
On my way here, I only live like what, quarter of a mile, maybe half a mile from your house,
Yeah.
maybe 2 miles. I think I saw a burn field of bodies on my way here.
Wow.
I mean, people are just dropping like
Wow.
flies in Florida
That's
right now.
insane.
So
Wow. That's crazy.
But yeah, what I was gonna say is, and this was on Tom Woods, and I know for a fact we talked about this on the last episode, but for those of you who didn't listen to it, first off, fuck you. Second off, here's the information. So, Tom Woods, he kind of inadvertently, not on purpose, became the COVID guy in the libertarian community, I feel like. And he had this, convention, I guess. Not really a convention. It was like a dinner where he kind of spoke. And, being the COVID guy in the libertarian circle, he, brought a lot of data with him, and none of it seemed to support the lockdowns or mask mandates or anything like that, which, we kind of already know is the case that, obviously lockdowns didn't work. Obviously the masks didn't work. But, he had numbers and shit, and what he found was that in almost every circumstance where masks were implemented, you saw a sharp increase in cases. And you also saw no significant deviation in cases from areas that did implement lockdown and mask mandates versus areas that didn't. And Google, I don't know if you guys know this, but just by having a cell phone, you basically submitted to contact tracing. Well, not contact tracing, but basically they track your movement regardless if you when you sign these user agreements, you did agree to it. So Google has all this data of movement and traffic and things like that. Again, there was no significant deviation in cases versus areas that observed social distancing and areas that did not. So, I know causation. I'm having deja vu because I said this exact same thing on the COVID episode, but, I know, correlation doesn't equal causation, but can you really have, this correlation without some causation,
Right.
So, I don't know. I think that's just an interesting fact to bring up, whether you believe in the lockdowns and the social distancing and the mask mandates and all this kind of stuff. In the data, there was no significant difference between places that did all of those things and places that didn't. So, take that for what it's worth, but I think it's definitely worth, I don't feel like you can talk about this without mentioning that, it didn't work for these areas. So,
Right.
or not that it didn't work, but there was no difference. So,
Right.
yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
Just to kind of go with what you said, Book, a few minutes ago, and what a lot of what you're highlighting, especially like in the teachers unions and whatnot, is the fact that not necessarily the kids, it's the teachers, right?
that's what they're scared of.
Yeah, right. Because the
kids
kids they get it, and it's like it's nothing. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like a popcorn fart.
I think kids get like 20 viruses a year.
Right. And we obviously know COVID doesn't do much to them. It's like they
Bounce back like
real quick. Yeah.
little gremlins.
And so it's like, oh, well, the teachers, the teachers and the teachers. The teachers. But, yeah, so.
yeah, it's a good point. It's, if the teachers don't want to get sick, in a sense, it's understandable.
A super dangerous job.
I mean, frontline hero right there.
Oh, completely off topic, but you guys see 4 police officers that were involved in the January 6th riots killed themselves
Oh
this
my
last
God.
week?
No, are you serious?
I swear to God, yeah. Four of the officers
that let people in?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
But they were at the Capitol.
Yeah, they were in the Capitol Hill, or responding to the Capitol Hill riots. 4 of them have now committed suicide within the last week and a half or so.
Jeez. Clintons, dude. They're everywhere.
You can't convince me that they had PTSD or something from this.
Yeah.
because I was literally watching the live stream as it was happening. It looked like a field trip. Like I know there were some areas in the Capitol building where maybe it was a little crazier, but
all in all, it was.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think 5 people died or 4 people died. Like 3 of them from natural causes, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And one of them was shot by a Capitol Police officer.
Yeah, right in the dome.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I had to mention that because I think that's fucking.
It's interesting.
Pretty sketchy.
Yeah. I before we move on to the next topic, I did want to mention I saw something that Nikki Fried.
Oh yeah,
She,
dude, this is alarming.
Oh, maybe it's not the same thing because it wasn't that, but maybe it is. But she posted something about the whole mask mandate, where she doesn't believe in a state mandated mask. Wait, am I saying that right? She doesn't believe in a state mandate mask thing. I don't know. Maybe this whiskey's taking me a little bit quicker than I thought it would. But so she doesn't believe in like mandating a mask for the state of Florida.
Right.
So like, and she's going to be probably the Democratic opposer to Desantis the next election. So it's kind of interesting that she's not even for that. What she's for, and the thing she posted was...
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you'd have to make sense to if you want to get elected.
Yeah.
It was almost something you have to in Florida.
Yeah, especially since he's been pretty good about a lot of the things.
But her thing was, I don't believe in it being mandated by the state. I want the counties to mandate it for themselves.
Oh, that was her little spin on it? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's still one of those things where it's like, I can agree with her, but I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I can always go for, like, smaller areas,
Right.
governing themselves.
Yeah, true.
But,
But if you do, you're not going to get state funding.
Correct. Yeah. So I thought it interesting to throw out that, like, even if you're, like, staunchly against, like, what DeSantis did, it seems like Nikki Fried
We're never going to be able to say her name without saying they nuts.
Oh god. She wouldn't be very different.
Yeah, but then, to turn around her, you might be on her side at this point. Well, probably not, but she posted something this last week that she revoked, I can't remember how many people it was. I want to say 3. She revoked 3 Florida residents' concealed weapons permits.
I thought it was like 20.
No, I saw 3.
Yeah, I didn't think it was 20. It may have. I can't remember the number.
Maybe they were reviewing 20.
Maybe.
And they officially did 3. Okay.
Yeah, but she revoked their concealed weapon permits for being involved in the January 6th riots.
Yeah, which I thought like was bizarre because how does she have the power to do that?
Because it's under the agricultural.
Yeah, it's because it's her department that covers it, but still, what the fuck ever happened to
process?
Yeah, due process and innocent till proven guilty.
Well,
What wrongdoing is she citing for removing these people's right?
Because they would have to be convicted as a felon, which then it would be understandable, right? Because once you're a felon, you can't have it concealed.
Because Florida is a shall issue state, which means if you have no reason to not be able to own or possess a firearm, you will get a concealed permit if you do the correct, you file the correct paperwork.
Yeah, and I saw something that our boy
that just I don't know that really tripped me up.
That's crazy.
That. Yeah, that really tripped me up.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
Sorry.
talking.
Go ahead.
No, but I saw that our boy Sabatini posted something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that like
he was calling for her resignation and investigation.
Right. Anthony Sabatini,
the man.
Wait, is he a guy? Is it Anthony Sabatini? He's a guy, right?
He's a guy.
Yeah. How many girls do you know with Anthony?
No, it's the thing I said last time. You guys were like, "Yeah, he's the guy."
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, just making sure." I was trying to make it a running joke.
Moving on.
Okay. No, so I guess her thing for that, right, is from what I saw, it was like 20 people. Maybe she's looking at 20 people who were involved in the January 6th riots or the Capitol building, whatever. But her thing is like preemptively taking this away before they're even convicted as a felon, right?
Yes.
Strong flex.
Which is like pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Like that's like as clear overreach as you can see from government taking away your rights.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what again, what law is she citing, or what wrongdoing is she citing for
where can you
stripping
point
these people of their?
Where can you point that the court has appointed me as someone who doesn't have the right to do this?
Like to me, that's no different than the Department of Motor Vehicles saying, "Oh, you know what? You were at the January 6th riot. Guess what? You don't have a driver's license anymore."
Yeah.
To me, there's absolutely no difference. Actually, to me, it would make more sense for the DMV to do that because that is an air quotes a privilege, from the state's eyes, where the Second Amendment is not a state given right. That is a right you have simply by being alive, whether you believe in God or the universe. No government or state or person grants you that right. So yeah, I don't know that I got really hung up on that when I read that. Like that, it's, I don't know, man. It's just very scary tactics. Today's episode is brought to you by a dear friend of ours, one of our longest and most regular listeners, and one of our biggest supporters, Chris Saplee Electric. Tired of getting the runaround by sketchy electricians who smell like gabagool and cheese sweating all over your dining room set while he installs lights that will more than likely start a fire in 3 weeks? Well, look no further. Because Chris Saplee Electric offers a premium quality electrical work at an unbeatable price. And here are some testimonials.
So, I was having a really tough day. I got in a car accident. And then I finally got home. And all the lights in my house were working. And I called Chris Saplee. And he showed up in overalls. And cowboy boots. And he just rewired my whole house. And he did extra favors for me. I had a scratch right in the middle of my back. And he came in and he just scratched it. I also needed my dog to be neutered. He did that as well. Chris Saplee is the guy you go to when you need to get stuff done. He's the guy.
So I'm a pretty sexually adventurous kind of guy. And I called Chris and asked him if there was any way at all that he could install a 440 volt outlet in my bedroom, or should I say my sex dungeon. I'm into certain things that require high voltage outlets, and Chris Saplee delivered. Him and his guys came in, no questions asked, no judgment, and they installed the proper voltage output that I require for my extracurricular activities. And, there's really no price you can put on that kind of service. And, for that, Chris, I thank you.
I think before I get into my testimonial, I just want to state, I think Chris is the best electrician around. Possibly the greatest that has ever lived, honestly. So I came to Chris with an issue. My asshole had been battered endlessly by the dryness of wiping over and over, day in, day out. We sat down, we talked about it. He saw my problem. He saw my problem. He saw my blood, my bloody ass tissue. He looked it over. He set me on my way to recovery. It was great. He set up my bathroom with a high-end bidet, and in no time, at a super affordable price, which was great, it was done. I have to say, Chris Saplee has strong mathematical knowledge. He's physically dexterous, is a safety-minded person, he thinks of safety first, and has plenty of knowledge and usage of hand and power tools. It came in handy with my bloody asshole. I have to say, Chris is head and shoulders above the competition when it comes to electricians.
Chris saved my life.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think that's a good place to move into the next topic, which I think is the more research topic, yeah?
Yeah, this would be... Someone's going to help me say this word because that's a little too late for me.
Moratorium.
There you go.
The eviction moratorium.
There you go.
So when we first were going to discuss this, and we kind of brought it up to each other, it was ending because the federal aid for it was going to be canceled, and at that time, for it to be reinserted, or however you want to phrase that, Congress would have to vote on it, and it had not happened. And all these people were blaming Biden for it, and because it's going to be canceled, landlords now would have the ability to, evict people who are not paid the rent for however many months, or almost a year now, how long it's been up. And then just recently, I think today or yesterday, Biden somehow has somewhat passed it, even though it's supposed to be passed through Congress. So I'm not really sure how it's how that's gonna work.
Well, so the CDC is the one that implemented.
You're correct on that, right?
Yeah.
Which is weird in itself.
Which is
I was just
weird.
gonna say, when did the CDC get legislative power?
Yeah,
like that?
so I don't think they do have it. They
Yeah,
don't
right.
have that power, and I think the Supreme Court has ruled that they don't have any constitutional.
That's why everything
power.
that they have done has been guidance and mandates.
Yeah. So right. So they did this, and it's like, but it's like one of these extension moves that's not really even a thing. It's just like buying time,
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's a very weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, just on the surface, without I don't think there's really any way you could justify this to a liberty-minded individual. This pretty much goes directly, completely, utterly against any sort of liberty-minded philosophy, right?
But
To be run by the federal government, correct?
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, I
Like,
agree completely.
just the fact that
This is a federal stance.
just the fact that the state can tell you, hey, I know you have this guy that's living in your house that you own, that you're paying bills on.
Right.
And I know he hasn't paid his part, his end of the, contract, the agreement that you guys made, but you can't evict him. Like that to me is just bizarre. Like, just let people work. I don't know.
That brings up a good point.
Yeah.
But the problem comes from
Right.
government stopping people from working.
Yeah. Again, a government caused issue that now government is stepping in to, mitigate the fallout from it, and it's just creating more
I saw this exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have an economic crisis that's directly linked to the government shutting down everything and destroying, somewhere to the effect of 200,000 to 300,000 small businesses, right? And then because they did that, now you have people who don't have jobs, although that's another subject because it seems like there's quite a bit of jobs now available.
Right.
And then they don't have work. They don't have means to make money, even though they're getting unemployment, and they're also getting a stimulus on top of that. I don't know if that's ended everywhere or just in Florida. I'm not really sure about the details of that, but they have been getting that, right?
Right.
And now you're also saying, well, because of this situation that we created, you don't have to pay rent.
Yeah.
And so the guy who owns this house or owns this apartment or whatever,
who is also not able to work. I mean,
Right.
Depending.
well, I mean,
Obviously, there's exceptions.
in their world, right? That could very well be possible,
Right.
Right. So,
I mean, especially take somebody, for instance, who that's their income. They maybe don't work and they just own a bunch of rental properties.
yeah.
And now, so this guy's expected to pay all these mortgages and,
right.
property, and he's not making income from the properties he's invested in. It's
But
like
he's probably not voting for Biden. So
no, it's the biggest hindrance on the free market I think we have seen and probably will ever see in our lifetime.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's just crazy, kind of like you guys stated, that for in most places over a year or close to a year now, in general, when you've looked in the past, I've looked in the past, or if heard people who have rental properties talk before, it's always been a pain to have rental properties in some cases because there's already red tape from the government to stop landlords from kicking people out in a certain time frame, and it's always like there's been boundaries already. And if you don't know about rental properties in the sense of like ever walked into one, if they're pretty much always beat to shit. Like not most people, but like if it's not your own place, you have no reason to keep it up, even though you live in there.
Right.
Like it's not yours.
Right. At the end of the day, you have no like
ownership.
Yeah. You have no pride or respect in it because at the end of the day,
Right.
like you said, you don't own it.
Yeah, you don't own it. If most people rent, they don't rent the same place for 20 years. They rent a place for a year or 3, and they move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where rental properties get the shit beat out of them most of the time. It's unfortunate, but that's why security is a typical thing around here.
Security deposits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a pain in the ass when you're, if you're a, quote unquote good renter, you still have to pay into that. And a lot of times you won't even get that because landlords have been fucked over so many times.
Right.
They're like, yeah, you may not have, I can't see anything, but maybe you fucking shit in the ceiling. I'll have to find that 3 years later.
Yeah. When I first got married, my landlord gave me the shaft on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice guy.
There's really
Nice guy.
yeah, there's you want to shout him out?
Yeah.
A real nice guy. Thanks a lot of that.
Yeah. Thanks, Frankie.
What's his name?
Actually, I don't know his name.
Oh, all right. Well, if you rented a house to Cameron, fuck you. But no, from a renter's point of view, there really isn't. You don't really have much of a fight in regards to that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I paid you this money, I took care of the house, but normal wear and tear from 3 years of living here, it's like you could use that as justification to keep the security deposit.
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
which is like, I didn't do anything outrageous that caused the wear and tear. It's just a house being a house, like existing for 3 years. It's what happens.
Right.
yeah. So I mean, it's already like a place where like landlords in general like are really iffy and like super guarded because of the things that happen. And now in this past year, like there's probably gonna be horror stories come out. Hopefully not, obviously, but I would assume there are. Where like they're gonna once eventually people can be evicted, where these houses are probably gonna look like trash bins.
Yeah.
It's gonna be weird. But like again, to bring this back to the eviction thing, this is something where like if you're paying a rent for some place and you trash it, now you're not paying rent for a place, but you're still living in it. What are you doing to that place? Right? Not to like bring it always to like the worst that's going to happen, but
it's a good point.
Like, what's this going to do for like? And there's a lot of governmental agencies and like federal money that can go to you currently right now, and I'm assuming sometimes too during other times that's not a pandemic, where they'll give you money for the rent that's you're not getting. That can help with like fixing the place up. But I don't know, it's just crazy to think that, like you guys have mentioned, these people, if your job is owning 3 rental properties and you haven't gotten money, so you have to go to the government to get money, and if it's not coming to you for some reason, or like you're just currently
denied that for some reason,
you denied it, or you're just tired of going through this, I'm assuming, process that takes forever, a lot of paperwork to get money, where before you're like
typical dealing with the government
bureaucracy, you're just like, I just want my money for my renters, or just kick them out, and you can't do that.
Yeah, which is just listening to the conversation, brings up a good point. Like, so sure, people have been out of work, right? But they still have been getting paid, right, from the federal government. Their unemployment and all these stimulus.
Sure.
So why are they not held responsible for the agreement they made with their landlord?
I don't know.
I still don't. It's still having a really hard time wrapping my mind around the logic behind.
Because you can't kick people on the street when there's millions dying of the pandemic.
Oh God.
Because then they'll just be 1,000,001 people dead now.
Right, but if you don't listen to the mandates, we'll throw you in a cell, close quarters with somebody else.
But if you're already in a cell because you killed somebody, we might put you on the street because there is a pandemic.
Yes. Like,
this is so fucked up.
I know. The more you like, I mean, we just like highlighted the most asinine,
like what we just said is
about,
crazy,
and we just came up with it in 10 seconds, and you could do that in so many other different circumstances.
And what we just said is true. Like, you can find places in the country where that's happened.
Where they're releasing like hardened criminals, veteran criminals, because of overcrowded, because the prisons are overcrowded
during a pandemic,
because they're bringing more people in for, disobeying the empire. Like, wow. Like, I remember one of the, and this wasn't even that bad. Like, I mean, it was pretty bad, but it was like one of the first instances of, me seeing somebody get arrested for not abiding by the law, like, air quotes law, that kind of made me really go like, oh shit, this is like for real what's going on right now. Was that guy who is paddleboarding alone in California, maybe 200 yards
from the nearest person
from the beach. Yeah, off paddleboarding out in the water.
Yeah.
Police boats went out there and arrested him.
No.
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
that was a real thing. He was paddleboarding out there by himself, nobody near him. He was literally a guy alone on a paddleboard.
Jeez.
No one for, hundreds of yards. And a police boat went out there and arrested him.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like so many circumstances of that. And then to see, Gavin Newsom, the almighty, the emperor, having dinner with his buddies.
in his French restaurant.
Yeah.
That's
And then lie about it.
it's outside, but the chandelier's above us.
Yeah, it's outside, but we're inside, and there's a chandelier. But we wore masks, except none of us wore them.
During the picture that was taken.
But we social distanced. It's okay, even though I was sitting a foot away from, 9 other people.
Yeah. What's the new one? The new one this week is
Cuomo.
the Obama birthday party or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really read too much about that, but I seen the headlines, yeah.
It's like one of the things, like, I don't care if Obama has a freaking party. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just hypocritical.
yeah.
Right. To go in front of the media and say,
Yeah.
people that aren't doing this, aren't doing X, Y, and Z are selfish and putting others in danger, and then they get caught doing X, Y, and not doing X, Y, and Z.
Obama's having a rager.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
orgy with his
Yeah, I don't know about that, but maybe.
with Michelle Obama and her big old cock.
Oh, jeez.
She's just swinging that thing around.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
dude, have you seen some of the pictures? It's questionable, bro. She might got a hammerhead on her.
I did want to bring this back to the eviction moratorium.
Oh, that's right, the topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was looking, our homeless man Chris is not here.
God, I missed that guy.
Yeah, hopefully we get him out soon. Send us money. I'm not sure what happened. There's things going around. He may have beat up an old man that was trying to take his spot on 58th.
Yeah,
It's just assumptions. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's just all allegations to this point.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can't
if
talk about-
you don't feel comfortable sending money, just send whiskey.
yeah, send
Yeah,
whiskey
dude.
for him.
Wait, can
No, or just send it here.
legally can people do that?
I don't care.
You just drop it off. At
Yeah,
my
we
place.
don't give a fuck. We don't follow the law, so
But
do
so-
whatever you want.
So I'm gonna
Send us machine guns.
spit out some numbers because he's not here. So this is just for Florida because with this eviction ending, and then now again, just to reinstate, it ended because Congress didn't vote on it to extend it via the CDC, which is weird in itself. The CDC has this power to tell Congress that it needs to vote on it, but it did not happen. And then people were bashing Biden, saying, "How are you letting people die?"
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to. How are you letting people die? You're just sitting there.
Cough, cough, Schumer.
Yeah. So then Biden, I'm not sure if it was an executive order, does something that now supposedly extends it for a certain amount of time before Congress can talk about it, which is weird in general.
Super weird.
And so now it's going to be, extended, but the Florida state is not going to extend it. So DeSantis is against it. Again, we could talk about, we agree or not agree with that. But, he's saying he's not going to follow it because, one, it wasn't voted on like it was supposed to. Two, he doesn't believe the CDC has the constitutional power to even mandate this. And it's been going on for so long, and he doesn't believe it should continue. But just some numbers from Florida with, there's multiple fundraisers that are state-run, agencies that are run by the state that help people in need for housing, especially during the pandemic, and for landlords to get money. Here's some numbers for them. The Florida Housing Finance Corporation, which established by the Florida legislature to support affordable housing, received $120 million in federal funding for rental assistance last year as part of the CARES Act. It returned $99 million to the state in June. So it used a fraction of what it received. So it doesn't expand on if that was lack of applicants, lack of, the what cooperation,
like,
that people knowing what to do, how to get money to people. That's not known, but we just know that a fraction of the money was used in that a specific instance. Another one was the governments in Orange, Seminole, and Lake counties and the city of Orlando collectively received about $67 million of federal rental assistance. Weeks before the CDC moratorium expired, less than $14 million had been dispersed.
Jeez.
So again, it doesn't specifically say if that was because the government just sucks at doing their job, which we know they do, or people just weren't signing up for it. But again, that's a fraction of the money being used for what's supposed to be used. And again, we can get into that if we believe that money should be there for that or not. But again, we're just stating the fact that the money's there right now. It's just not being used how it should be.
Well, dude, here's the thing.
And there's one more, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
At least one more.
Yeah.
And the federal government also provided about $870 million to a separate state rental aid program run by Florida's Department of Children and Families. When the moratorium expired, only 2% of the money had been spent, aiding only about 4,300 people out of around 40,000 people who applied for the help.
So, so you were saying that you didn't know if it was because of lack of applicants.
Yeah, the other ones. This one is for sure.
Oh, yeah.
These are all different, yeah.
Right, that was not lack of applicants, obviously, that one. That was just...
And just another number to run out here before Cameron brings it up, or something up. This pandemic is, again, not taking responsibility for the fact that 98% of funds are sitting in the state bank account instead of in the hands of landlords and tenants. So this is profits or funds for the people to apply, and it's not being used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the way I look at this is you have somebody who says, well, you have the government that says you don't have to pay to live in this house or this apartment, right? Because they can't kick you out. So you're collecting your stimulus, or your stimulus and also your unemployment, and they say
That was to the tune of what? Like most people were getting like $700 or $800 a week.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but and also the additional $300 or whatever.
Exactly, right.
So I mean, these guys are making more money than I am because they're not paying their mortgage or rent or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's happening. I mean, you kind of have to think of yourself as kind of a low life type person where like you're getting money, not paying for your place to live. And also there's this, money out there for you to get, but you're not even attempting to go get it,
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's necessarily true, if that's the issue, or it's very difficult to get this money. I don't really know. But the thing is, it's there. And something's not happening with it, right?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a breakdown. Either the person's not, or the people are not going out to get it, or they're trying to get it, and like we know, the government just sucks at being efficient. And,
at everything.
So it just takes forever, or the paperwork's just so, tenuous, and you just don't even want to do it. We keep bringing up people who are probably not paying rent, aren't working, but you could be working and not paying rent because you don't have to.
True.
So, I mean, I just thought that when you were talking, it's one of those things where, you could not pay your mortgage or specifically your rent and still be working and pocketing money this whole time.
I think, in my mind, the person who goes to work when they have the option maybe not to, they pay their rent.
Oh, I would agree.
That's the point. That's the point I'm making. The point is that the person who decides that they don't have to go to work because they're making unemployment and getting a stimulus, those are the people who say, you know what?
Fuck rent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't
versus the people that know that, hey, maybe if I stop working, I could probably make more money than I would at work, but they choose going to work anyway. Right, those people are going to be the ones to, more than likely, to pay their rent and not take advantage of, their landlord.
Yeah. And, so another thing that I was thinking about with this sort of this eviction moratorium is like, I read a few articles and it's like, oh, people would be kicked out of their house and their apartment and so forth. And it's like the wording is so strange there, right? Because it's not theirs. Like they're living in somebody else's house. Like
based on an agreement they made with that person.
There's a contract that says you can live in my house if you pay me this money.
Yep.
This is not your house.
Yeah.
This is my house.
Yes, you are renting it from me.
Exactly. Just like if you, Nick, come to work for me, like, this is my job that I'm giving you to work for me.
Yes.
Like, and like, if you do a terrible job.
We have an agreed upon wage.
Right.
An agreed upon
like,
contract.
You're gone, and that job that's your job is going to be somebody else's job.
Right. Which means it was never mine to begin with, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
My point exactly. So it's this sort of entitlement, like, oh, this is my house. This is where I live. Like, no. This is where you live right now. Agreed upon the contract.
Yep.
If you no longer pay this person to live in
It's
their
no
house,
longer where you live.
it's no longer where you live. And so, it's a very strange, like, entitlement, this idea that we have a right to live in a certain place, and we have all these different rights that are so outside of, like, the natural,
well, yeah, this
natural
goes
rights.
back to kind of what we were talking about when we were,
Sure.
at dinner. I feel like, and maybe it's not fair to say that everybody versus libertarians, but I think definitely more of the lefties think about natural rights. Republicans do. I think, kind of everybody thinks about natural rights in a different kind of light. But I think lefties, for the most part, think that a lot of their ideas of rights, or natural rights rather, are not rights at all. They're privileges, right? Like,
right.
Like for instance, what you were saying, you've seen a lot of the cancel rent kind of posts and things like that, and
you
it's
see
like
the signs with cancel rent.
yeah, it's like
what do you mean cancel rent?
Yeah, well, on what earth? Like, and for example, I know Chris is pretty active on the profile in regards to commenting on things and
Yelling at people.
yeah, and arguing with people. But he was talking to some guy who basically he basically flat out said, like, if you have to pay rent or pay for food or pay for healthcare or pay for basically anything,
Yeah.
that are air quote necessities, like, a home or food or things like that you're a slave.
Yeah.
And, just like you were saying, where did we go wrong that people think that, they're entitled to have all of these things and not have to do anything for it?
And so what's so interesting about that, and I tried to bring this up last time, but I failed, I think, miserably. But, like, is like with that idea, so, like, what you just said, like,
Yeah.
people who think that they should not have to pay rent or food or whatever crazy socialist idea they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that is, like, perfect liberty or freedom to them.
Right.
Right? But, like, the issue with that, and obviously libertarians would point this out pretty quickly, is that, like, in order for that to happen, somebody else's property rights is being abused.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
I think that's a perfect point. Yep.
Yeah. So like, in order to pay for those things, somebody else is getting the shafts.
Right. And when he says property rights, he doesn't necessarily mean, like, somebody's house or somebody's land. He means property rights in regards to somebody has to create this, create labor, right, which has an inherent value. They have to create this labor to create a product for somebody else that in their mind they're entitled to.
Right.
So at what point does their entitlement that they see as, their right, at what point does that trump somebody else's right or, owner, like, property rights? Like,
Right.
It's just such a weird, a weird way of thinking about things. 'Cause it's like, sure, would it be great for, nobody to have to work and, everybody have a home and everybody have free, food to eat and free healthcare. But, like, you need to, there's labor that is involved in all of those things, right? You cannot have homes without labor to build them. You cannot have food without labor to farm and, aggregate this food. So, like, where in your mind are you entitled to somebody else's labor in the form of, the food they produce or the house they produce or, any of these things? Like, where in your mind are you entitled to that over somebody's entitlement to their own ownership of their labor? Like, it's just bizarre to me. Yeah. And I think, this kind of goes hand in hand to what we're talking about, because people think they're entitled to, like, oh, I should be able to live here because I'm entitled to it. Like, no, you're able to live here because we agreed upon,
exactly.
you're going to pay me this in exchange for the labor that you create and the money that is generated from that labor you create.
Right.
It's, it's an agreement. It's like the most, basic form of free market, exchange of labor, basically. So yeah, it's weird to see that. But then again, it's like I don't want to say you can't fault these people, but at the same time, it's like, again, and we said this on episode 1, this is going to be a reoccurring thing. This is a government caused, this is a government issue, like a government created issue that now government is stepping in to fix the symptom, and it's just screwing other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the government says, oh, you can't work, so you can't make money, so you can't pay your landlord.
Yeah.
And now your landlord's not making money, he wants to evict you, but now we're going to make it so your landlord can't evict you, but now your landlord is not getting revenue. Like, it's just, and, it's a snowball effect because more regulation and more laws and more.
It's this thing has, if I don't want to sound conspiracy theorist, but like they have created like an enormous like welfare state, like an enormous, where there's a ton of people relying,
dependent on the government,
for
answers, for health advice, for
everything,
and it's like I feel like a lot of people need to step back and kind of think to themselves like, am I that inept where I need the government to make these decisions for me? And I think 90% of the people, if they're being honest with themselves, can probably say no. Like, I can make these decisions on my own. I don't need the government to,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think people have a lot of faith in themselves for whatever reasons. But, anyway.
No, I think that's a good point you bring up when, I think people should kind of rethink about that when you said welfare state. Enlarging, it has, and I think when a lot of people think of welfare, they obviously go to monetary first, right? Like, that's kind of how it was. But what you just said, Nick, and I think we said before, it even comes down to welfare of thought. Like, what am I supposed to think about this virus? What am I supposed to think about
that's a good
this
point.
thing? Like, they're on the welfare of thought now.
Right.
Right?
I can't think for myself. I need to be told what to think.
And that's what you said, which I think is perfect because, again, like I stated, it's not just monetary welfare now anymore. It's welfare of thought, welfare of what's the next topic that comes up that where people are going to be looking at the state for what's the right answer. What am I going to follow now?
Yeah,
where it's scary.
It's alarming, man. I don't really know what to say. You can't. I feel like there's no words that can. Like if you don't see what's going on or you don't like have your slightest suspicions at this point, I don't really know what to say to you because there's a lot of weird shit going on. There's a lot of weird shit going on.
Yeah. So one of the things that I found interesting with this is like Biden's hesitant to like pass this extension. Because he hesitated, right? Like, I mean, the progressive left was like pushing for this like hard, like they camping out at the Capitol, like trying to make this thing happen. Pelosi was pushing for him to do it, and he kind of didn't do it until like the last minute.
After last minute, it went past.
Yeah. So he kind of didn't do it, and then I don't know what happened. Somebody poked him or something.
Yeah, he woke up from his Adderall nap and was like, "Fuck, I got."
He woke up and the papers were already signed. He was like, "Oh, I guess I agree with this."
Yeah. Well, no,
his
but
handlers.
I do kind of find that interesting because I mean, people call him like a moderate, which we know is not necessarily true. But
wait, who calls him a moderate?
Well, I mean, people call him like a moderate Democrat, right? Like they're like, oh, Biden's the more moderate, like
he's the health insurance guy.
Yeah,
he's the health insurance guy from.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I think he probably calls himself that in some ways, or did. But like I feel like in some ways, like he knew that this was like a terrible idea,
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just
I think you're giving the guy way too much credit. I don't think he fucking thinks anything.
Yeah.
Like, at all. I don't think
know.
he thinks in general.
Yeah. No, I mean, I look at it like I don't think he really wanted to pass this, but I think that, like, he has an enormous pressure
Right, he got
from the
prodded.
progressive left to say, hey, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, we put you there.
Yeah,
like,
come on, man.
Yeah, go! Come on, man!
Come on, man.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Like, it's just interesting that he didn't do it earlier. You would have
Yeah.
thought he would have done it earlier. Why not? I mean, just,
Right.
we're giving everybody else everything, which is...
No,
You see him saying over the weekend that he was a trucker?
no.
You didn't see that? Dude, the memes were hilarious.
You're a meme guy, dude. You
Yeah,
love a good meme.
You know me, bro. You know me. If anybody follows me, you know me. I like some memes, boy.
I think that's a good point, though, that, you know, if he was for it completely, you would think he would not have waited till after it expired.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. Like, it's also interesting to think because I have heard recently that people have said, why has not brought up? Why the far left who are in the Congress now, like AOC, Elon Amar, what do they call it, the squad?
Yeah.
Because of the position they're in, they actually can control a lot because they can flip. If they don't vote, I guess the Congress doesn't swing fully Democrat then,
Right.
so they can kind of like push, like the more moderate Democrats to.
It's just like the Tea Party did on the right.
Correct.
Same
so,
thing.
I've heard recently that they've been, people are like, why haven't they been holding them to the fire more? People have been saying the squad's more moderate now. Like they're not, in a lot of ways they are.
Yeah.
Like, AOC hasn't been screaming as much about certain things.
Right.
Thank God. God, her voice annoys me.
Yeah, but
Hey, she's got a... Anyway.
some heavies.
Yeah, she got some weight, boy, in the front end, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
But yeah, so it is interesting now that on this certain topic, they pushed and they got their way. So
Right.
it did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows why that happened? Why this was the one they were going to fight for when
A lot of people don't...
they're not fighting
Sorry,
for
go ahead.
Medicare anymore.
Yeah.
Which is good. But if you're someone who's like an AOC fan, like you don't see her crying about it anymore for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out, a lot of people that like AOC don't seem to understand that nobody really likes her. Like, even, like, some of the crazy, extreme Democrats don't like her. Like, they don't support a lot of the ideas she prescribes to.
Right.
Well, she's only in Congress because she won in a place that's like 99% blue.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't be almost in any other part of New York and win.
Yeah.
She's just so far out there that it literally lined up that she like ran in a place that was perfect for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, like, you could be pretty much anybody as long as you were a Democrat, you would have won.
Correct.
Yeah.
She's not like in a purple area where it's like you have to fight pretty hard and like be like
Right.
actually play the game. She's in
Yeah.
a place where like
She just showed up.
she shows up and like I'm a Democrat. I want to give you guys money. They're like, fuck yeah.
She won in a place that people don't have any
Shit
of their
to-
own thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. You guys have any last things you want to say about the eviction moratorium?
No. I say let's just spitball.
Yeah, what do we got?
Well, I was just gonna, just cause, a lot of the shit we're talking about is kind of COVID related. So, I'm just gonna read some of the tweets, based.
Wait, hold on. Before you say that, sorry, Nick. I'm going to pull a Nick on Nick.
Go, pull a Nick on Nick.
But I'm going to swing it
Nick
back
and
to you
Nick.
so you can continue nicking.
Nicking.
Have you? I don't know if on the podcast. I think it came out after last week's COVID podcast about the PCR test.
I'm gonna pull a Nick on you while you're nicking Nick.
You're nicking me,
I'm
nicking
gonna
Nick.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
And I talked to Chris about this. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Dude, so much, like, not awesome shit, but so much shit happened, like, directly after that COVID episode. Like, if we waited another 3 days for that COVID episode, we would have had so much more to talk about.
Well, dude, the way I feel about COVID in general and the stuff that gets really... It is like...
It's fast. Yeah, it is fast moving, so I guess you could say that no matter what.
It's constantly changing.
Yeah.
I mean, even from last week to this week,
Yeah.
the stuff that's changed, it's like... I don't know, like, I can't follow it anymore.
Did you guys see the video I posted on my personal page with, I don't know. It's like a maybe a minute long video of Fauci. It's like somebody
Oh,
edited
yeah.
it to where it's like him saying one thing, and then the next clip is him saying the exact opposite, and it's like a minute of that.
Oh,
you know, him
yeah.
just like
flip flopping all over
Yeah.
the place. Yeah,
But I want to say though, I don't think we mentioned the PCR test last episode because I think that came out afterwards.
yeah.
did it. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
So I
yeah.
think
we didn't mention that.
So I think you should
Yeah.
mention that too.
Yeah, so basically the the PCR test failed the a review in UK. Was it UK? Or no, it was actually the CDC, right?
Yeah, so
they
America.
failed their own review. That basically how they were administering the PCR test was basically faulty in that it couldn't detect between the common flu and the coronavirus. So this
So we found the flu.
yeah,
Everybody's wondering-
we found the flu.
Like, what happened to the flu?
It's buried in with the COVID cases.
It's called COVID.
And keep in mind, this was the same test that they used to justify locking you in your homes, keeping you from work, shutting down the world,
Yeah.
and I know I personally, I don't know if you guys are following it, but when the PCR test, actually the creator of the PCR test came out, and I remember a lot of people in our family, Cameron, were calling me crazy and kind of giving me fucking those dirty looks out of the side of their eyes. They were giving me that look for, basically stating what the creator of the PCR test was saying, that, how they are administering this test at 45 cycles is like way above the threshold of how they would normally administer it. So, all right. So, for instance, you can have, I can't remember. I think the medical terminology is viral count. You can have viral count of something. So, for in this case, you can have a viral count of the SARS. To COVID, whatever the terminology is, you can have a viral count of that and not be air quotes infected, right? Like you can have a viral count and not actually have the COVID virus to the point where you're sick and you can spread it. How they were administering the PCR test when it came to this, they were running it at a much higher threshold. So, I think on average they do anywhere from I think it was 9 to 12 cycles. They were running the PCR test at 45 cycles for the COVID. So basically what that translates to is this PCR test was creating a lot of false negatives because it was finding a viral load, but it wasn't over the threshold of being considered infected. So basically, that's what they found in this study, and again, I think this last year and a half, again, the conspiracy theorists got it right.
Yeah, it's interesting because
that's what you read, right? I mean, I don't, yeah, okay.
But it's also interesting. I remember about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, now they're almost everywhere, which are the fast acting tests or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the rapid response.
They're not PCR, but they've been out for over a year. But they weren't being used because PCR was the golden standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Because for whatever reason.
Right. And it turns out that those, I don't know for a fact, but the rapid tests, how it's looking, might have been
they're more accurate.
Right.
And it wasn't the person that I listened to was stating that looks like they might be a little bit more accurate, and even if they're not, they're like a 5% difference. They're cheaper, and you can get them to more people, and they're faster.
Yep.
So even if you have to take 2 or 3, it's cheaper than taking one PCR test. You'll know within a fraction of the time, and you can do it multiple times throughout the month. So it was just very weird that, over a year ago, the rapid tests weren't a thing, even though they were already made. There's multiple companies that had them, ready to ship. But everywhere in the States, at least where we're at, it was the PCR test only.
Yeah, right. A lot of jobs were requiring the PCR
took,
test.
7 days to get back?
No, I thought it was 2 or 3.
Okay, let's just say 7. That sounds better.
Well, I think initially
Yeah.
when everybody was getting tested, it was more like a week. But I would say pretty quickly it got down to 2 or 3 days.
3 days, but yeah, I mean, still the rapid test is 15, 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It's rapid.
I mean, shit. Now they have them where you can just buy them at Walgreens, right?
Yeah. which is great. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at like a more like, I guess a weird sense, liberty way to do this, you should have more options to test for this, so you can make your own decision. If like, oh, I'm feeling a little sick, I'll get tested.
Right.
If I find out I'm positive, then I can stay home, or if I find out I'm negative, I can go out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seems like a better way to do this than having state-run testing centers where people jab your brain.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to read Thomas Massey. He is the governor. He's a representative, I believe.
Mississippi
Mississippi
or Kansas.
Mississippi or
That was Kentucky.
I can find out real
was it
fast.
Kentucky? That's what I was
Van
thinking.
Paul too, though. Right? I don't know. We gotta look it up.
No, he's the governor.
Yeah.
Rand Paul's a governor.
No, I know that.
Yeah, Thomas Massey's a representative.
But
you got it?
But I think he's. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Thomas Massey.
Yeah. Anyway, he had the just interject whenever you get it up.
He's a representative for Kentucky's 4th congressional district.
I was
Kentucky.
right as per usual. But
I think I said.
You're only wrong when you think you're wrong.
well, I was going to say it before you said it.
Oh.
Anyway, so he had this thread on Twitter, and I can say that I personally looked through the CDC's MMWR report, and I can confirm that everything he cites is in fact in the report. So yeah, I'm just going to read it, verbatim, his tweet thread. So, many prior assumptions or hypotheses about COVID vaccines were challenged by the information in today's CDC MMWR report. This is a thread with some of the prior assumptions and hypotheses compared to the troubling information from Barnstable County, Massachusetts. Prior assumption. Most infections are occurring among the unvaccinated. Report. Vaccination coverage among eligible Massachusetts residents was 69%. Approximately 3/4, 74%, of cases occurred in fully vaccinated people. Prior assumption. Vaccinated individuals who contract COVID will likely be asymptomatic. Report. Overall, 79% vaccinated patients with breakthrough infections were symptomatic. And again, breakthrough infections means that you were infected even though you were, vaccinated. Prior assumption. COVID won't spread quickly among vaccinated. Report. On July 3rd, DPH had reported a 14-day average incidence of 0 cases per 100,000 persons per day in residents of the town in Barnstable County. By July 17th, the 14-day average incidence increased to 177 cases per 100,000. Prior assumption. The vaccine may wear off over time, but will provide robust protection in the first few months. Report. Among fully vaccinated symptomatic persons, the median interval from completion of greater than or equal to 14 days after the final vaccine dose to symptom onset was 86 days. Prior assumption. Hospitalizations primarily occur only in the unvaccinated. Report. Among 5 COVID-19 patients who were hospitalized, 4 were fully vaccinated. Prior assumption. Viral load is lower in the vaccinated breakthrough cases. Report. RT-PCR cycle threshold values in specimens from 127 vaccinated persons with breakthrough cases were similar to those from 84 persons who were unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated. Hypothesis. Vaccine X is prone to breakthrough, but not vaccine Y. Report. Vaccine products received by persons experiencing breakthrough infections were Pfizer-BioNTech, 46% Moderna, 38%, and Janssen 16%. And then here's we'll post the link to the CDC report so you guys can look at it yourself if you so choose. But I think there's a lot of really damning evidence from the CDC themselves. A report that they did in Barnstable County, Massachusetts, and a lot of it goes directly against what they're telling us. And I think I think a lot of it's worth looking into because you look at, I know we talked about. I say we talk about it. It's basically just me shit posting in the family group chat. But Iceland had a very similar observation. I guess 71% of their population is vaccinated, and they found that over the last week, not I don't know, depending on when you listen to this. It's August 3rd right now. So the week prior, 82% of all of their new cases over the week, 82% of them were fully vaccinated people. Mm. And what I think it was like a percentage in the 70s were the people that were hospitalized, 70, somewhere in the 70% range were vaccinated people. So again, all of this is just going completely against what we're being told from, the empire. So, I think it's really, I think it's just really, really, really worth noting because, this is a virus or a vaccine that's being pushed so hard onto all, everybody. And I know Israel too, right? You were saying had very, 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 thing. Very similar numbers.
They're really highly vaccinated.
Yeah.
And they also were a lot of,
yeah.
But even locally, right? I mean, how many people do you know now that have been vaccinated are also getting it?
Yeah. I mean, shit.
I know 3 or 4 now.
Yeah.
Which is wild, man.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. I think I personally know about 5 people who have gotten it. In the last week, there were a couple engineers in groups that are kind of adjacent to where our group is in the office. All vaccinated guys. And it's weird because like of the 5 or 6 people I personally know that have it, I think only 1 is unvaccinated.
Yeah,
which is I know that's. What is that? What is that called when it's like? Anyway, I know that's personal, not personal, but like firsthand, and that doesn't that doesn't necessarily. It's not a statistic that you can extrapolate up. But what the hell is that word I'm looking for?
I don't know. I don't know what word you're looking for.
I don't know either.
Is it FIFO?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I don't know. So with me, it's this issue, like especially. As far as like the propaganda goes, is like super confusing, right? Because it's like get the vaccine to stop spreading COVID, right?
Yep.
And then the next thing they come out with is, but you might be better if you get the COVID with the vaccine, but you can also still spread the COVID if you have the vaccine. So like it's like the stuff they come out with, it's super confusing.
Well, because it all contradicts itself, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. If you want to have propaganda that says you need to get the vaccine, don't tell people that. Don't start telling people. Yeah, it's so confusing. But the issue now is people are getting it all over the place with the vaccine.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be way harder to get people vaccinated.
Yeah.
Now the story is right. If you have the vaccine, even if you get it, you may not die from it. But now it doesn't seem like anybody's really dying from it these days.
Right.
A lot less people.
Right. Yeah, well, you see that shift too in the media and, on big news. They completely, you remember back in the summer of last year, that's all they could talk about was death rate, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time you heard anything about death rate?
You don't.
Probably, yeah, you don't. You probably haven't heard it since last summer. It's because the death rate is like, it's plummeted.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what you were saying at dinner, Bookie. What were you saying at dinner?
Oh, was that with?
I'll let you say it because you said it better about how the how the virus is.
Yeah. So if this is mainly the Delta variant being spread now, and they're stating that the Delta variant spreads faster, well, I'm not a freaking ophthalmologist, but if a virus decides to spread faster, it's not going to become deadlier because then it just kills its host faster and it doesn't spread.
And Chris brought this up because Chris is also a doctor.
Yeah, no, he's not a doctor. He's actually an electrician. But, so.
Different Chris, but yeah.
No.
You don't know you don't know.
He's an engineer.
No, homeless Chris?
Yeah.
Homeless, yeah. Well, he's homeless, but he's an engineer.
Oh, I thought he was a podiatrist.
You just said an electrician.
no, but his father-in-law is a.
Oh yes,
Doctor.
correct.
Yeah.
That is something he
Father-in-law.
stated. That's true. Which
Yeah.
is, a virus wants to live to be able to spread itself, so it lives on.
Right.
Where now, if this is the Delta variant, it's going to be less deadly because it's spreading faster. And also now that a lot of the hospitals, a lot of the doctors have had time where they know what works best for COVID. They're not putting people on ventilators anymore.
Also, something else that I personally and a lot of other people were called conspiracy theorists for.
Yeah.
Just suggesting. And I remember a video came out of a nurse from Florida who, when all this was going down, there was a lot of states who were like kind of recruiting nurses and like extra hands, specifically like in places like New York who got hit pretty hard. And there was a nurse who went up there and she basically said to the doctor, like, why are we putting everybody on ventilators when it just kills them? Like, there's no, you have like an 89, high 80% chance of dying once you go on a ventilator, because it's not that these people's lungs are damaged, which is what a ventilator would be used for. You're putting people with healthy lungs on ventilator that will destroy their lungs. And, that video got, taken off of everything. As it does, and everyone who shared that information was deemed a conspiracy theorist. And now you fast forward 6, 7, 8 months later, and we've basically abandoned the whole ventilator discourse.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, this COVID talk is freaking rough.
It's exhausting, bro,
Yeah.
because it's just like it's
one of those things where
like I told you so.
Yeah, everything you guys have brought up. It's just one of these things where, like, if you brought someone 20 years ago in the past, picked them up out of that time, plopped them in the middle of now, and just like sent them in front of like a news channel all about COVID. Like, in my mind, you'd have to be like, why are they so infatuated with COVID?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, everything it looks like it's just a new flu, right? It seems to be a little bit more deadlier with certain more what's the word? Mortality.
Morbidity.
Morbidities.
What are you trying
Oh,
to say?
yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Comorbidity.
Comorbidities. Thank
Yeah.
you. It seems like it's obviously it affects people with certain comorbidities a little bit more than the typical flu, which actually affects children a lot more than coronavirus.
Right, but we didn't do anything
Yeah.
for that, so.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, is this something where people are just like, it sells news now? So this is why we're keeping it in the news a lot? Is it because it's some weird thing that, the state now has more power and they're in bed with the mainstream media, so the mainstream media is pushing it so the state can continue to gather power and push its, its reach over. It's really weird. It's just one of those things where we won't know fully, maybe ever, but probably for another at least 10 years, when we can see this thing from, a little more
Different perspective.
a little bit
Well, by
farther out.
then we'll be on the Zeta variant, so
Yeah.
who really knows?
Hopefully not, but yeah, it's, it's what it's looking like. It's just looking,
It's like a never-ending nightmare.
yeah,
It just keeps going.
it's
Yeah.
like one of those things where, like you guys have stated, death count or death rate's not up currently. Doesn't seem like it will be because of reasons we stated. Care is better. It seems like the variants aren't getting deadlier. If anything, they're getting
That,
a
and we're
little
not forcing, nursing homes to take COVID patients,
Yeah.
which is
bit-
probably a good
Kumo's
thing.
not touching little girls. Why sends people to homes with elderly people? It's just one of those things where it's like, what's going on? Like, why do we keep worried about this? Like, can't we just go back to quote unquote normal, which is what a lot of people want, which is where if you want to wear masks now, wear masks. If you're a business that wants people to be vaccinated, cool, state it. I don't know how you're going to enforce that, but let's just stop worrying about this and
Just to backpedal a bit, just because you mentioned something that reminded me.
backpedal me.
Backpedal you, daddy. The going back to the PCR, talking about the PCR test. So this was like, something that, it was a review by some agency in the UK, and then the CDC reviewed it. And I remember seeing the CDC, you can't post anything with VAC or VAX without it getting, a little thumbnail about like, oh, click here for the vaccine or, fact check. And Chris pointed this out to me because I think I had posted something, or vice versa. He posted something, and whatever. But the fact checker for that article that said the PCR test is it failed its review and they revoked its emergency use authorization. The fact check said that this is partly false. The reason for this claim is because new technology has developed and there's more accurate tests.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's not false at all.
Right. Yeah, it's not false at all.
Right.
Basically what that says is we found out it's wrong and we have better tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's all about. That's about all I got with COVID.
Yeah.
It makes me wanna
I
jump
posted
off
something
my
on my
house.
personal account, and I think it's a great point. Mainly directed at our conservative listeners, because you guys have no backbone anymore. You comply because you want it to end, but it's because of your compliance that it will never end. And I feel like that that just kind of I don't know. I think it's just a good point because you as a free person have the right to not go to places that are demanding you to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Or show vaccine papers or whatever have you. And, a lot of people out of convenience are getting the vaccine because it's like, oh, well, I want to fly on, X, Y, and Z airline, or I want to go to Disney or whatever it is. It's like, well, it's just convenient. Well, part of being a free person is like, if you want to support and not support the things that you want, you may have to, give up some of those conveniences.
Well, it's be a little civil disobedient.
Yeah, exactly. Just, for me, instance, since day one, I think I wore a mask twice. I, flew on an airline, back in October of last year. I went to Jersey, and I went and got a drug test for work. Those were like the 2 times I wore a mask in my life.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I walk into Walmart, Publix, whatever. They say, "Hey, you need a mask?" I said, "No, I'm good," and I just keep walking.
And it's a good point because people will look at you and be like, "That guy, he's a sausage."
Yeah, he's a fucking tank.
Yeah,
that's probably what they think when they see me. No,
they think you're rude.
Oh. Hey, well, you know what? I am. Fuck them.
Hey, but you make a good point. You do. You make a good point.
It's great to beat your chest on social media and say oh blah blah blah. DeSantis this, DeSantis that. Trump this, Trump that. But most of you Republicans are spineless. To put it bluntly. Is that a word?
Yeah, even
bluntly, not bluntly. Bluntly.
It's probably a good percentage of Liberty people too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, big time.
It's
probably a good. Yeah, it's a good percentage of everybody. But
it's everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. At some point, you've got to pick a side. Basically, at some point, you got to pick a side
and stick to it.
Yeah, and stick to it.
Just draw a line.
Yeah,
I
own it.
won't go past this.
Yeah,
and
if you go somewhere where they hassle you that much, guess what? Don't go there.
Yeah. And then if you're in Walmart and you see Nick and he's not wearing any clothes, no, he's standing on principle.
Yeah, I'm completely on principle.
He's doing what he believes.
Yeah, and if I die from coronavirus, meme the shit out of my death. Make fun of me. Because it will be the most ironic death in history. No, I don't know. It's not that I don't believe in the, whatever, the coronavirus, the vaccine, whatever. My biggest problem is the censorship behind it all. You have the empire behind it, right? Pushing for this thing, but if you show any concern or even mention some of the albeit very rare but very real side effects of this vaccine, it's immediately you're labeled some crazy conspiracy theorist, you're anti-vax, you're anti-science, you're anti-COVID, you're a Republican who loves Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it's since when, I don't, I know, at 26 years old, I guess, I'm still, I guess, considered pretty young, but I don't ever remember a time in history where it was, it was shunned, like people were shunned for showing concern at the side effects of, a drug.
Pharmaceutical, yeah.
A pharmaceutical, especially, I don't think in history have ever seen an emergency use authorization vaccine that's been, they made this vaccine and tested it in less than, 8 months? 9 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably just say a year.
A year to be safe, but it's like, there's drugs that have been on the market for decades that people are like, I don't know because of the side effects, I don't know if it's right for me, and people are like, oh yeah, that's completely fine. But with this vaccine, it's like, oh no, you're anti-vax. You're you're anti-COVID. You're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's the part that trips me out the most. I don't give a shit. You get the vaccine if you want. I think, for some people, I think it's probably a good idea. I think for other people, you probably don't need it. If you want to get it, go for it. Get it. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to make that, risk assessment. And I'm an extremist for thinking that way, I guess. I don't know. In my mind, I think that's the most logical, level-headed way to think about things. But,
Yeah.
I'm the conspiracy theorist extremist,
You are.
Yeah, you make a good point. It's just one of those things where, again, it brings back this idea of, what is going on behind the curtain where there's this mass push for everything that's going on right now.
Right.
It's like, will we ever know? Probably not in our lifetime.
Hopefully. And the thing is, even if we do know, a lot of people will either choose to not educate themselves on it or just ignore it, as we have done for, decades.
That's true.
And did you guys see that tweet from, I don't even remember who, some stupid ass blue check mark? She posted something along the lines of, we need to get the black community vaccinated, so we need to work with KFC and Popeyes. Yeah.
That was a good guess.
No, that's what it was, though. Oh. And it's like, wow. From a blue check mark, I expect nothing less. But it's like, you guys forget the Tuskegee, experiment from the 30s that, went into the early 70s. It's like, yeah, no shit that, the black community doesn't trust the CDC.
Right.
Are you guys familiar with the Tuskegee experiment? All right, so I'll explain it for those.
No.
All right, so for those, I guess for you two idiots. No, I'm just kidding. But for those of you guys who don't know, the Tuskegee, I don't know, I haven't heard of it referred to as the Tuskegee experiment. They just refer to it as Tuskegee. It was an experiment the actual CDC was in charge of with, I want to say it was another university or another 3-letter agency, where they experimented on unwilling black men. They wanted to see the effects of syphilis gone untreated. So from 1937 to 1972, those dates may be a couple years off. I'm pretty sure I'm right. 1937 to 1972, they told black men that they would be receiving free health care. What they didn't tell these black men is that, and this is not at all a theory. This is, you can go to any .gov, well, not any .gov, but you can go to .gov websites and read these documents. They're all declassified.
So yeah, it's been just like the MK Ultra stuff. All
yeah. This is all like, it's published stuff that actually happened. This is not some theory from some dark web website that somebody read. This is a real trial. They told these black men that they were going to give them free health care. What they didn't tell them is that they would be injected with syphilis.
Jeez.
And gone, and basically gone untreated from 37 to 72. So, 20 whatever years that is. And keep in mind, that's 72. That's what, less than 50 years ago?
Right.
Same CDC, no different. I mean, 50 years ago, probably some of the same people still work there, right? I mean, 50 years is that's
Yeah.
not that long ago. So yeah, they infected these unknowing, unwilling black men with syphilis, and they monitored them, not treating them. Keep in mind, syphilis, they found, they didn't find a cure for it, obviously, but they found a medication, I think in the mid 60s, early 60s, and it was accepted as like the standard care for syphilis patients. And even at that point, 10, 15 years before they ended these trials, they still didn't give these black men this, the what was considered the standard for syphilis treatment. And they let, most of these guys died. I mean, syphilis kills people untreated. And, so that's the same CDC that exists today, only 50 years ago. And it's like, yeah, no wonder why the black community doesn't trust you.
Yeah.
Because I think the black community has the lowest vaccination rate in regards to, COVID.
Right.
In the country. So
no, they're not about it.
Yeah, no. And could you blame them? I mean, Jesus. After that?
No.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good bit of information that, a lot of people don't know about or appreciate. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we did a service here.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
We wrapping it up, boys?
Let's wrap it up.
Is that it? That's it? That's all we wrote?
Yeah, I think that's good. What do we always say? Taxes bad, government evil.
Yeah, something like that. Something along those lines. I don't know.
Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff.
Yeah.
That's another thing we say.
Yeah.
We say stuff.
We say things. We say stuff.
Thanks for
some
coming.
things we say, some stuff we say.
Things we say, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yeah.
We speak good.
Bourbon always answers, though.
That's it.
Bourbon, rye, malt licky, whatever.
Some sour mash.
Yeah.